Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you can laugh. I don't know what was so funny. I was just seeing if I can get you to react. Thank you very much. I have actually prepared almost an hour and a half worth of material, not realizing that we're only going to go a half hour. So if I skip some slides, that's the reason. However, I will be around all day for personal interaction, shaking hands, kissing babies, as they call it back in the States. I'm a good politician. Okay, so my name is George Irwin. I'm also the founder of a company called Green Living Technologies International. I started in this business actually as a landscape contractor. So since I was 13 years old, I started cutting grass and just maintaining lawns. And by the time I was in my early 30s, I had 40 some odd employees, and that was also the time my son was born. So we decided, long story short, to move from where we lived in on the East Coast in the States to a community in Rochester, New York, which is about 3 hours south of Toronto. Now, my perspective was, this is great. I don't have to be in the landscaping business anymore, and I'm also a teacher, but I couldn't afford to teach. So we started to build ponds and do some extracurricular work as a landscape contractor. That same year, 1999, somebody asked us for a roof garden. Now, back in the States, let me see if this thing works. Perfect. Okay, back in the States, okay, when we talked about roof gardens, back in 1999 and 2000, people thought you were crazy. My idea of a roof garden was my grandmother's house in New York City, which was an apartment building or a flat, and it had gallon buckets of tomatoes growing on the rooftop. So for me to get introduced to green roofs was really far ahead of anybody else's time. The short of it is, by 2004, that was my very first patent, was a green roof system back in the States. From there, we developed sloped green roofs, and then we simply went vertical. Okay, so here it is, 2015. We have over 3,000 reps in 13 different countries. Okay, so as I move forward, that's enough about me. As a company, we have patented technology, we have public-private relationships, our social media is, everything that any company could have ever asked for. But, more importantly, I find what I do as the president and former CEO of our company is education. Okay, my job here today is to introduce you to a pedagogy and a handful of definitions to help define the industry. Okay, we're going to talk about living walls, green walls, eco walls. Okay, I want to introduce some of the technologies and techniques. Then I am going to introduce concepts that are going to force you to make decisions on how you want to implement these types of technologies, because you have choices. The problem is sometimes you have too many choices. Especially being unfamiliar with some of the technologies. You may be wrong, you may be right. Some of us who were on the tour yesterday saw different applications that succumb to different variables. Okay? Now, I'm also very interactive. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I only have 30 minutes, so who's keeping the time? Because I'm not keeping the time, I'll keep talking.
All right, I'm putting my timer on.
Okay, so let's talk about history. Green walls. We did not invent green walls. Surprise, surprise. Okay, green walls have been around since the days of time. You have the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, right? Then you also have the Greeks, who realized if they grew the grape trellis close to the wall of the house, the grapes were sweeter. They grew faster. And what did that mean? Better wine. If they can make better wine, they can make more money. Okay? And then you have what we call the Ivy League. Does everybody hear of the Ivy League? Okay. It's basically a word or a phrase that dictates a very prestigious education. And it's noted actually by a sports writer, Henry Woodward, who coined a group of schools because of the ivy that grew on the walls. That Princeton, Brown, Yale, okay, all of these really high-end popular schools. Marketing. So, let's talk about green walls in general. Green walls, living walls, eco walls. We've all heard the term. It's an all-encompassing term. Okay? The reality of it is you have two sections. You have green facade and you have living wall. The difference between the two is a green facade is more like a trellis or some type of 3D structure system. Now, if you're writing, don't write. I will give you access to all of this PowerPoint. I'm also going to give you a copy of my book in PDF, so just pay attention, don't write. Okay? Then you also have living walls. Living walls, the roots go through the whole system. Okay? Today's focus is going to be on living walls. Okay, but I want you to see some of the examples of green facades. I'm sure we've all seen, you know, these types of systems. Okay, the living wall. Okay, engineered media. Okay, for the uneducated, the dirt. Right? Don't call it dirt. Why is it engineered? Because we manufacture it, we make it, we mix it. Okay, then we also have hydroponic. Okay, some of you on the tour yesterday got a chance to see both growing media and hydroponic. Okay? So, let's talk about living walls, engineered media. Okay, we actually have single part systems. Matter of fact, some of us saw this particular system on the tour yesterday. Okay? Some of the materials could be plastic, it could be metal. Okay? Then you have multiple parts, where you actually have a box, a bag, where you put growing media in, and then you plant it and hang it. You may have a panel type modular system with a cover. Okay. Then you also have multi-part systems, okay, where this is what we call mechanical, where we actually bring air and water up through the root system, or better yet, through the wall. Okay, irrigation, subsurface introduction of water and air. Okay, it's a very complex theory, system. Sometimes successful, sometimes not, depending upon the variables. Okay? Then we also have what we call hydroponic mechanical. Okay? Mechanical meaning we have pumps, we have fans, where what we try and do is pull the air through the wall with the concept of cleaning the air to redistribute it into different parts of the building. Okay? We could talk about some of the pros and cons, but in my opinion, here's the problem. When you have water and you add air, what happens? It evaporates. So it's very hard to monitor when you're introducing air into a system with your NPs and Ks and your nutrient levels. You're distributing salts and other particulate matters into the ductwork. It's a whole other topic. Okay? So let's talk about hydroponic. Hydroponic. You have hydroponic modular systems. Okay, some of us saw some of these systems yesterday. Okay, just another example of now a stainless steel or aluminum hydroponic system. Okay, yesterday we saw plastic. Again, this is another plastic housing using rock wool. Okay, hydroponic has a lot of different growing mediums. Okay, so whether it's rock wool, whether it's peat, whether it's cocoa. Okay, is everybody familiar with what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. Sir, I'm either doing a really good job or you're bored out of your mind. Okay? There's also felt layer types of hydroponic, which we saw yesterday. Patrick's system yesterday was absolutely beautiful. Okay? But we're going to dig down a little bit deeper, hopefully in some more intimate conversations later today. Okay? So, then we have what we call one-time use products. And I don't use this term loosely. When I talk about one-time use products, this is something that you would potentially buy at the hardware store, okay, as a homeowner, and you think it's cool and you want to try it. So you buy it, you take it home, and you really only use it one time. Okay. Okay, so this is basically where we get into what is going to be your design purpose. How many students? Raise your hand. How many educators? Right. How many practicing professionals? Okay. Your design intent for living walls. Just keep that in mind. What is your intention for this wall? It's rhetorical at this point. Hey, look at me. Is your design intent to attract attention to your client, or in some cases, you. We've done a lot of projects that are eco-marketing related. Okay, the Today Show, PNC Bank, okay. Indoor air quality, is that your intention? Okay, it's a known fact. Bringing plants indoors cleans the air. It removes VOCs, volatile organic compounds, things like formaldehyde and benzene. Look at the rug, okay, the paint. How many people have ever bought a new car? It's rhetorical, but you get that new car smell, right? Yeah, that's a VOC. Okay, that's the plastic. That's the plasticizer coming out of that new dashboard. Okay, plants also increase productivity in the workplace. Okay, I love coming into my office in the middle of winter where I live. Sometimes we get up to 3 meters of snow, and it's cold, and you walk in and you see this lush, beautiful vegetation. It's enlightening. Education. Is your design intent based on university level or grade school, middle school? Well, I was going to show you a video, but I don't think I have enough time. Maybe I'll go back to it. Agriculture. This is unbelievable new marketing. This is new ground for all of us. Vertical agriculture. The new wave is, I want to know where my food comes from. I want to know how it's grown. I want to know, is it going to be good for me? Is it going to be full of carcinogens that are going to cause cancer? It's pretty powerful stuff. What if you could walk into this? Pick your own tomatoes and cucumbers, and how about beets and carrots and even potatoes? It's pretty cool. How am I doing on time?
You still got time.
Okay, good.
You got about 10 minutes.
Come on.
12 minutes.
15.
15.
Good. Okay. I learned that from my daughter. 14. She's the best little lawyer I have. Okay. So, even medicinal crops. In the States, okay, there's a big push for cannabis. And for some recreation, but more importantly, you can look at it from a medicinal perspective. Okay, it's incredibly powerful. But the key to be able to grow that kind of crop is to have consistent yields, predictability, and consistent quality. And you can do that by controlling the environment. If you can control the environment, you can control the growth. How about community and economic development? We've done vertical farms and professional training opportunities in 13 different countries. Economic opportunities. In this particular case, what you're looking at is a program that we developed in Los Angeles, California for the homeless. Not only do they get to feed themselves, but they also learn additional skills. They also repurpose their lives. So whether you're going from a program from incarcerated adults and young people to society, there's programs that can be developed around living lives. Okay, healthcare, veterans hospitals, improving communities. Okay, we're involved with a few veterans hospitals at some pilot projects right now, where we're utilizing living walls to grow food, and also as part of a rehabilitation program to some of these veterans that come back from the Middle East. Okay. And what it does, it gets them re-involved in activity. It motivates them to come to their appointments. Energy savings, the urban heat island effect. In my opinion, living walls, unless you cover the whole building, it doesn't matter. That's like putting insulation every other row. Okay. You can see here's a thermal picture of some of the heat gains and losses on this particular project. Now, where I find value is, the urban heat island effect is where the buildings heat up the environment. Well, if we can prevent that building from heating up, almost like a barbecue. Even when you're done cooking, that barbecue is still hot. Well, so are the concrete walks, and so are the buildings. If we can prevent that, maybe our cities will be a little bit cooler. It's a far stretch. It's going to take a lot, but there's an opportunity. So let me ask you, what is going to be the purpose of this living wall? I got news for you. When you do a living wall, it's very hard to have one design intent. Whether you like it or not, the living wall is going to impact everything we just talked about. There is no one answer. So if you're going to design for a client with an eco-marketing opportunity because they want to advertise, that's great, but it's also going to impact everything else. If you want to put together a community program, you're still going to attract attention to yourself and to your client and to the end user, right? Okay, I have to kind of move quickly because I want to get to my point here. Biophilic design. We talked about improving the constructed space with plant material. But here's the problem. Here's my opinion. You have to eventually come up with your own opinion. When you leave here, I'm hoping that you can start to think about, as designers, how you're going to implement this, not just in an aesthetic way, but also in a safe and practical way. Okay? You know, as we scroll down and introduce some of these, materials, I really want to get to the point of, we talked about growing media, we talked about plastic, we talked about metal, we talked about a variety of different products and applications. Hydroponic, the introduction of water and a nutrient base, okay, to help feed the plant material. But here's the problem. Okay, as a designer of a biophilic theory or building, okay, you may think you're doing a great job by introducing plant material. But by introducing plant material, all you've done is touch the surface and you've given it a visual connection. But what is the real connection between health and the technique? What is hydroponic? It's water with synthetic chemicals. Synthetic chemicals known to create cancers, poor quality foods. Okay, I can go on and on. So is that something that's really part of a biophilic design? Is that really going to improve our health and well-being? Or is it making it worse? It's not a yes or no. This is an opinion you have to format. Okay. This is a pretty powerful picture. I've been to Mexico, I've been to California, watching them spray these same strawberries that they're shipping to my grocery store. Okay, and it's pretty scary because if they have to dress like this in order to grow my food, I don't want it. So when we talk about hydroponics, one of the things I brought to light yesterday was, the amount of water that particular technique uses is very wasteful. Number one. Number two, a hydroponic system has to constantly be cleaned, okay, almost bi-weekly. So that means you have water that's infused with nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and where's that water going when it drains? It's rhetorical. We know where it goes. It goes right back into our rivers, back into our water system. My opinion, the next greatest agricultural breakdown is going to be hydroponic farming on a larger scale. We have typical agriculture which has spent soils. Our soils are very, they're not alive anymore. Okay, they have very little compost and nutrient value. So farmers keep adding fertilizer and we keep getting runoff. Okay, well, the same thing's going to be happening with hydroponics. That water has to go somewhere. Okay. So as designers, what we need to focus on are systems that really calculate the amount of water we use so that we don't waste it. Number two, we need to find means to supply macro and micronutrients to these plants where we don't have the runoff. Okay? And that's what we've frankly been doing over the years, is spending our time and our money trying to figure out ways to make living walls, vertical farming, a lot more friendly. Okay? I'm either scaring you, I'm boring you, I don't know what's going on here. Okay, so I have about 3 minutes left, okay, and it's not so shocking. My goal today was to introduce you to different techniques and technologies. I want you to really think about the biophilic theory and the implementation of living walls in a manner that is going to be beneficial versus harmful. And that was the entire purpose. When you leave here today, you have to really go back and research and think about how your design intent impacts the project, the client, and society. Okay? Thank you very much. My name is George Irwin. I hope you have a wonderful, incredible opportunity to meet with me and other speakers today. I'd like to thank everybody who's put this incredible event together. I'm looking forward to helping it grow. I think it's an incredible opportunity for like-minded people to get together and okay? I don't have all the answers. Okay? When you leave here, you leave this door, you need to focus on your own perspective. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, George. I have lots of questions for George, but I'm sure we'd rather hear from the audience. Anybody got any questions?
I told you I was boring.
No. I mean, I think you raised. Yes, go ahead.
I'm sure you've tried hydroponic systems in your research. Have you gotten close to a system that, or have you gotten close to a system that you think could be possible, but you weren't able to technically solve it, but you know,
Yeah.
your intuition shows that maybe there is a path?
Well, Ben, my objective here was not to come and promote a specific product or technique. My objective was to get you to think about your design intent for living walls. However, to answer your question, yes. Okay. You know, we've been doing research really since 2000. You know, even our generation 1 technology was good. It wasn't the best. Okay, we had some things that we've learned, and we've continued to develop it. Like all good companies, we continue to improve on what we do best. And to answer your question, yes, we have it down. We know what we're doing now. Matter of fact, we're implementing close to 65,000 square feet of vertical farming with one of our technologies that we know we have virtually zero wastewater, and we're going to have organic status, which is great.
And it's based off a hydroponic system,
No.
not a growing
No. It's good old-fashioned compost.
Mark? George, because I would have to take issue with some of the things you said about hydroponics.
Okay.
I have 2 patents on hydroponic systems, one of which you've shown there. I think
Sorry.
some of your assertions are...
Sorry, Mark, I don't think people can hear you.
Is there a roving microphone?
No, we'll have to get one.
Okay.
We'll have to get one.
I don't think, I think you kind of have a very blinkered approach to what hydroponics are in modern living wall systems. The water consumption is certainly no more than any compost-based system on a modern system. Not felt systems, I agree.
Okay.
Felt systems are very wasteful of water. I've put up Patrick Blanc walls. I know how much water they consume, but so that was an early system that's actually probably obsolete, although it's still popular. But modern systems have moved on. I've moved on into a second generation personally of system. The nutrients do not can be completely organic that go into a hydroponic system. I just don't think the water runoff is absolutely minimal. They can be closed loop and reused. So I know you have you say everyone has a bias in a particular point, but I think there's bigger issues than just the non-hydroponics, because I don't think you're right about that.
Well, I can appreciate your opinion. Patrick Blanc's system the felt systems are very wasteful, and to your point, outdated. I disagree with your opinion on organic nutrients, because organic nutrients are particulates that need to be broken down at the biological level. Hydroponics does not implement microbiology and allow microbes, nematodes, and the living soil to break down those organics. In my personal experience, I've had multiple opportunities to research and use organic hydroponic chemicals without success. Thirdly, your closed loop system, in my experience, is without cleaning it constantly, it's a breeding ground for waterborne pathogens. And we personally experienced quite a bit of plant loss to things that are as simple as root rot. I've had this same discussion, and I respect your opinion. And again, this is simply me regurgitating my experience. And I'm not taking cheap shots at hydroponics. I'm just giving you, again, my experience. As designers and educators, you have to make your own choices.